It's a tournament-style trivia competition for one of the biggest sitcoms of all time in honor of its 30th anniversary. Let's talk about Fast Friends. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my game show review for Fast Friends, talking about one of the biggest sitcoms, of course, of all time. And I can't believe it's been 30 years, but here we are. But this is on Max, which is home to the entire Friends catalog. You can watch every episode of Friends there. You can also watch that reunion special they did in, what was that, 2021, I guess. And now we have a game show based on the popular show. I have dressed for the occasion. I am a Friends fan myself. And I mean, most people were of my generation. Certainly, I was a senior in high school when Friends began. So that took me, through college and beyond for sure. And was appointment television. Absolutely. And the reruns, they still hold up. They're still hilarious. So I was looking forward to this, but let's see how it turns out. We'll talk about that in just a second. First, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are one of my Dan Reviews It subscribers already, thank you so much for that. If you're not, please consider subscribing. Click that notification bell, and you could like this video too, or comment below. All that stuff helps the channel out as well. And I love a good game show. Well, sometimes a bad game show too, but I have a lot of game show reviews on the channel as well. There's a playlist on my homepage where you can check out all of my game show reviews for the last 2 years. And there's been a lot, game shows making a comeback. They're cheap to produce for networks. So, a lot of saving money there, even while you're giving money away sometimes. But all right, so let's talk about Fast Friends. This is, like I said, hosted by Whitney Cummings. And it's essentially a knockout style tournament round. There's, I think, going to be 8 episodes. They're doing them weekly. There's only 2 up right now. But in each episode, 3 teams of 2 will compete, and then one will move on to the next round. The other 2 go home. But they decide the run of who goes first by asking some fill-in-the-blank quote questions. So they'll play the clip and then stop it at the right time, and then whoever can buzz in with the next line gets a seat on the Central Perk couch, and then the first team to completely be on the couch gets to go first, and that is very important because it's all time-based, so you get a little bit of a time boost there. Or really time subtracted, I guess, from the final total, because you want the shortest amount of time. And then they have a series of different games. Each episode seems like it's going to be different in terms of what specific games they're going to play. But it all takes place in the Friends experience in New York City. So they're using the recreated sets for Central Perk, Monica and Rachel's apartment, Joey and Chandler's apartment. And, the games obviously are involving, trivia questions and whatnot in different ways. But all right, so that's basically it. And then the first team to, and then there's a final bonus round where Whitney will do the plot, name the plot of one of the episodes, and then you have to say the one with the, whatever. And people are getting them right. People are fanatical about Friends. I've been to a Friends trivia night, at bar trivia. I did a Friends trivia night, and I have a Friends board game that is trivia based. And it's interesting because it was actually released during the run of the show. It was released, I think, in season 10. So some of the questions are actually not correct anymore. It's funny, but in any event, I've played that several times with my friends over the years, and it's always a good time. But here's the problem with this show. Well, there's a few problems. First of all, there's too much padding. So each team is doing the same tasks, right? So after that first round is complete, where you have to complete the quote, the next 3 things you do are the exact same for each team. And so we see the setups each time. We see them go from apartment to apartment. They could easily trim, it's like a 45-minute show. They could trim 15 minutes off easily just by sort of cutting that dead space out. Okay, now you're going to go to Joey and Chandler's and find their favorite TV show, find a VHS tape of theirs. And they actually show the people looking for the video. And then, in another example, Maggie Wheeler comes on as Janice, And it's great. It's good to see her. It's a lot of fun. She's dressed in a costume, and they ask questions about that costume. Like, for example, she's dressed, as a pink bunny in one, or as a Spudnik in another. But they do the intro the same every time. Whitney's like, okay, you've got a special guest coming, and oh, you hear her on the buzzer, and then they buzz her in, and then it's like, oh, I'm going to give you a minute to, sit and talk with our guest, before we get to the trivia part, and it's like it's just over and over again. We see it 3 times. Everything that they do, we see in triplicate, and it really eats up the time. And then there's Whitney Cummings. Look, I used to really like her. I thought her stand up was great. She was funny at the Comedy Central roast, but her sitcom was terrible. And she's okay in this. Obviously, she's a Friends fan. And some of her, interplay with the contestants is okay. But, she's got these, I assume, scripted lines, and they're just not very funny. And it reminds you how funny the show was, because this is not that funny. And then they'll show you a clip of the show, whether it relates to a trivia question, or they'll show these like minute long clips in between the setups too, which are great and they're fun. But it reminds you that, oh wow, I'd probably be rather watching an episode of Friends right now rather than this. So my thought on it is, I would rather either watch Friends or go to like a bar trivia night with my own friends and play Friends trivia there, rather than watch these teams have the continual setups every time. Whitney Cummings with her pretty lame jokes, honestly. And then watching the Friends clips in between, saying, "Oh, I want to see the rest of that scene," rather than going back to the trivia game. So I think this is a swing and a miss. I like the idea. Obviously, there's a ton of Friends fans out there, so it makes sense to do a game show about this. And I believe, I don't know if it's aired yet, but Max is working on a Harry Potter game show as well. I'm not as steeped into that universe as I am in Friends, so I don't think I would find that as enjoyable, because I wouldn't know probably many of the questions. Here I knew a good bit of the questions as a fan, but yeah, for me, unfortunately, this missed the mark. I leave Fast Friends with a D plus. I think there are definitely better ways to get Friends trivia, and more fun ways as well. Or you could just watch the show, watch the original show. I can't believe it's been 30 years, but here we are. And you can check this out on Max. I believe the episodes are airing Wednesdays, but it's one per week. And I think there's going to be 8 in total. So, all right. Well, thank you for watching Dan Reviews It, and I'll see you next time. Bye.